And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today I'm talking with Stuart Morris. And Stuart, well, first of all, thank you for taking some time to be with me today, Stuart.
Thank you for the invitation. Always a pleasure.
Well, you are welcome. It's going to be a fun conversation because Stuart and I, we have a lot in common. I think our hearts beat at the same pace because Stuart helps entrepreneurs really create a one in a million life. And as we were talking coming onto this podcast, it's about choosing the life that you want, building a business that will support that life, and doing it in a very structured way. This is not a purple pill overnight get rich quick. This is a systematic approach to building a business. And I love that already. So let's just I'll be quiet and we can just dive into this. But tell me, Stuart, how in the world did you get doing this?
So I've been creating products since I was a teenager. It was my first invention was a piece of a medical equipment when I was 15 years old. And I've been inventing and creating stuff ever since then. I joined a big corporate, Hewlett Packard, straight out of university, and built the beginnings of a career. And then I realized I hated working for big corporates.
Yes.
And so I went through a couple of smaller businesses, and then finally, about 30 years ago, started my own business. And to be honest, I've never looked back. And life has changed. I got into internet security. We built a really interesting business doing that. And then in the back of my mind, I'd always had this dream of a retreat center. So where I am right now is an 18th century farmhouse in the North Yorkshire Dales. It's a very, very beautiful part of England in the north of the country. It's very desolate. We get snowed in here regularly, but we've converted it into a retreat center where people can come and they run yoga courses. They might run a photography course. They might come for a management retreat weekend, or I ran a mastermind group here a couple of weekends ago for a group of my business friends. Also really flexible. But I get to live in this insanely beautiful place, in a beautiful 300-year-old building, and we welcome guests and help them to do what they need to do. So the story of my career goes all over the place, but the salient points are, I ended up teaching entrepreneurship at the Henley Business School, one of the top 1% business schools in the world, for 4 years. And in that time, I traveled all over the world helping students understand what it was to be entrepreneurial. And sometimes that's entrepreneurial within a career, within a big corporate, because that's a thing. But also for a lot of them, it was they realized they didn't want to join the big corporate. They wanted to start their own business. So I've helped people in Turkey, Hong Kong, Moldova, which is right next to Ukraine. So that's a pretty interesting place right now. Denmark, all over the place, help them start businesses. Kazakhstan, that's a really interesting place to do entrepreneurship. And the USA. And one of the things that I've been thinking about really for the last 10 years is, can you crystallize the really important pieces of how to start a business into something that is teachable? And there's a huge argument about, is entrepreneurship teachable, or are you born with it? And it turns out yes to both. Yes. But also there is that huge difference between being self-employed, where basically you're working for yourself. So you might be a building contractor, you're a carpenter, and you only get paid when you work.
Right.
If you take a month off, you don't get paid. That's self-employment, and for many people, that's absolutely fine.
Yep.
For me, I knew that wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was a life where, for example, sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to start that bit again. You okay with the edit? For example, I have spent the last 18 months restoring a 1961 classic aeroplane. Mm-hmm. So my aim is to finish that in the next month or so, and then spend a year training. And then next year, I'm flying that airplane across the Atlantic back to the place it was built, and to go and visit my friends and family in the United States, flying this 63-year-old airplane.
That's
Now,
great.
that's a month-long mission. So my business has to be able to survive with me not present for a month.
Yep.
And I don't mean checking email every 10 minutes. I mean, while I'm flying over the North Atlantic in a 63-year-old airplane, I do not have cell service.
That's right. That's
I
right.
am off grid.
Yeah.
And so for me, building the business is building a business that's not just giving me income, paying the mortgage, paying the food bills, whatever it is. It's actually supporting the life that I want to lead, supporting my hobbies, supporting my family. As it happens here, my 81-year-old father is a member of my maintenance team, so he's out working every day in the grounds, and that's keeping him fit and healthy. One of my sons is my head chef. It's providing for my family, and at some point in the future, when I'm gone, the wealth that is embedded in the value in this business will bless my children.
Yep.
And with any luck, their grandchildren. So I'm looking at this not just as a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm looking at this as something which will have a positive impact on my family in a generational sense.
Dude,
and I was trying to work out, how do you do this in a replicable, reliable way? There's always risk in any business. You never know what's coming around the corner. But can you minimize that risk? Can you do it as a side hustle to begin with, so you're able to keep the day job? Are there ways of changing your financial model? Do you really need that brand new BMW? Would a used Volvo do? That could cut your outgoings quite a lot. Just little things like that actually in 6 months' time, your family aren't going to notice. Trust me.
Right.
But actually that frees up some cash, and then you make the transition. And so I've built this course, this way of doing this, that is reliable. It has demonstrable outcomes because I've done it. I've been my own test case. I've got friends who I've helped to do it, and we've kind of distilled all of that knowledge, because I believe that there is nothing more powerful than an entrepreneur who is wanting to live their own dream, not just get rich quick. Anybody can get rich quick. It's actually pretty easy to make a ton of money in a short space of time. What's hard is making a long-term sustainable income.
Yes.
And that's what I'm really interested in.
That's very cool. I love that you said so many things we could unpack. So one of my, in our business, is a family business. My wife's my bookkeeper. My eldest son's my chief operating officer, right? And I'm laying out a 200-year vision for our company to do just like you said, building value within the company, systems. How do we hand it off at the right time, making sure it's going to endure, because it's becoming the economic engine for the family that will spawn other businesses. And that to me is the joy of it all, right? And so let's talk about, how do people get this vision? Because there's so many get rich quick schemes, and make passive income and do this and do that. And they can work, but that's not, I don't think there's fulfillment there, like you said. What are some of the challenges that entrepreneurs face? And then how do we start bridging those gaps? What are some of the challenges business owners are facing to get there?
So one of the key things, and this is where I believe in coming at it from a completely different angle. So many people say, have an idea, come up with a brilliant idea, and then you research it, build it, sell it. And I don't care whether it's a product, a service, whatever it is, the process is the same. There are thousands of patents out there for a better kind of wheelbarrow. You go to Home Depot, what do you buy? You probably buy the second cheapest wheelbarrow there. It doesn't matter whether it's got a clever wheel or clever handles, you just buy what you need today. There are hundreds and hundreds of ideas out there that there isn't actually a market for. And so I take it the other way around. As an entrepreneur, you've got to be sales-led. If your business isn't making money, it ain't making money. You're stuffed. You're going to run out of cash. You got a hobby. You haven't got a business. My airplane is my hobby. It does not make me money. So actually, sales is about spending time with people you understand, people you like, people you get on with. So the way I look at it is, let's start with those people. Who do I want to spend time with? Who do I enjoy spending time with? Who do I like spending time with socially, in work? Who's in my hobbies? I quite like hanging out at airports because my hobby is aviation. So I know a lot of pilots. Okay, let's look at it that way. If I'm going to be spending time selling to people, I'd best like them. I'd best understand them really well. So let's start with the customers, and let's let the customers be people I like. If you're a left-leaning political person, you do not want your customers to be right-leaning political people, because that's just a recipe for unhappiness for both of you. So start with the customers, observe the customers, get to know the customers, get to understand their lives in whichever sphere it is, and then solve a problem that they have. Then you've got a customer-led business. You've got customers you like spending time with. You've got customers you understand. You're building relationships with them. They're becoming, if not friends, certainly acquaintances. And then when they want to purchase, you're the right person in the right time, the right place. It's not so much that you're selling. If you walk into a bar and say, "Hi, I sell double glazing," what's going to happen? You're going to get stuff thrown at you.
That's right.
If you've become part of the community, and somebody says one day, "I need double glazing for replacement for my house," and somebody will say, "Oh, there's Stuart over there. That's what he does."
Right.
I did no selling. The guy comes over to me and says, "I'm told you do double glazing. I've seen you in here every week. Great, let's talk."
Right.
The sales process has happened. Because you've built a relationship. So that I'm turning it on its head. Let's start with the customer, and let's make the customer somebody you want to be. Solve a problem they have. You start building a business.
Yeah, that's so good. I phrase what you just said in one of my marketing philosophies is, you want to be and I learned this from my marketing guru, Roy Williams, years ago. You want to be the first one somebody thinks of, and the one they feel the best about when they're ready. And when you do that, it's just what you just said. I just phrased a different way to go. It's not selling. And I forget who did it. One of the years ago marketing guys, he said, when marketing is done right, selling becomes irrelevant in a sense, because I'm not selling, I'm serving. You have a need, I can fix it. You like me, how do I serve you? The rest takes care of itself at one level, right?
Absolutely. And in some ways, that sales process is then just not quite just taking the order, but it's enabling the customer to say yes.
Absolutely.
It's not trying to convince the customer. It's not the heavy close. It's not the presumptive close. It's none of those things. It's, let me take your order.
Yes.
And it's that simple.
And even before that, let me understand, Stuart, what's going on. Can I really help you out? Oh, okay. Yes, I can. And you educate them, and you build confidence. I think that's the missing word. We always say you got to know, like, and trust people.
Yeah.
I think it's that underlying confidence that the buyer has to go, yes, you can solve my problem. You are the right person, and I believe this is going to be a great outcome. Now I'm willing to take that step.
Yeah, and you may have a slightly more expensive product or a slightly more expensive service, but none of that matters, because they trust you.
That's right.
And they trust you because they like you and because you have a relationship. There's a saying, a brand is a promise, and a great brand is a promise delivered.
Yes. And it's not as hard as most people make it. So we've got business owners out here who are struggling. They're fighting the battle every day because they tend to fall into, I think one of the challenges is they look and see what everybody's doing, and they start doing that. And they listen to all the gurus who just graduated from some course somewhere and have some certificate saying, I'm a business coach. And so one of my, I keep telling people all this, like, just look at what everybody else is doing and run the other direction, and you're probably going to be safe. Because it's not about doing what everybody's doing. It's about building you and your organization. But as you said, when you know your audience and you know their problem and you solve the problem, It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I teach one of my businesses, we teach people how to be celebrants, officiants, how to take weddings, funerals. We started 6 years ago. We are the largest in the world in our niche. Now, it's a very small niche, but we understand our audience. We know the demographic. We know who they are. We know what they're searching for on Google. We know how they are the things they're worried about. I want to transition my career from being a teacher to becoming a celebrant. I've never run my own business. We understand all of that to the nth degree because we've looked into exactly who our customer is and we've understood them. And our website does nothing but answer all those questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is just brilliant, by the way.
So it's be a friend to your customers and your potential customers, and they will come and buy from you. But have something that they're really looking for. It's understanding the problems that they have, understanding the challenges they have, and being the right person in the right time.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I know you've got a course that helps business owners, because I know there are business owners out there who are they're hitting their head against the wall, Stuart. They've been trying this entrepreneur thing for a few years. Everything they try just fails. Talk about the course and in the journey that you bring them on.
Okay, so you talked about failure. I've been there. Hand up, business failure 101. And the rest. Been there, done that, failed, lost more money than most people will earn in a lifetime, and started again and built my way up. So I am not one of these guys who's had one success and goes, I know how to be successful. Right. And you see it a lot with people who have built huge followings and they put a book out and it may not be any good, but even if 0.1% of their following buy it, it's suddenly an Amazon bestseller, it's a New York Times bestseller, simply because of the size of their following. Right. And I think the journey we take them on is it's a step by step. But it's also recognizing that some of these steps are iterative. You'll set off down a road and you need to go back and check and back and check and back and rethink. I am not running a business in medical physics, which is where I started my career. I'm a director of a funeral home. Who saw that one coming? So be prepared to flex, be prepared to see which way the wind is blowing and either run in the same direction if you're ahead of the curve or run in the opposite direction if everybody else is going down that road already. Yeah. Don't compete on price. And we talk a lot about pricing, about picking the right price. If you want to build a burger company, you can go to McDonald's for, well, it's no longer a 99 cents, but for a cheap burger, it's a piece of meat between two pieces of bread with some salad. That's all it is. You can go to a nice restaurant, you can pay $25, $30 for a piece of meat, two pieces of bread, and some salad. It's the same product, it's just delivered differently. If you want to compete at the bottom end of the market, you need deep pockets because those guys have got deep pockets. Yeah. If you want to compete at the high end of the market, actually, it's a very different proposition. There's a lot less competition. It's often, and I say this to my sales team for the Celebrant training, we don't need to discount. Right. We are the Mercedes-Benz, the Jaguar in the market. And if somebody says, I can't afford you, you aren't buying the quality of the product that we're offering.
That's right.
And I'm really sorry, but you're not my customer. There may be some ways we can help you. Have the courage to turn people away. Because if you're saying yes to everybody, and that's the other thing as well, is understand your own strengths and weaknesses. I'm a great leader. I'm a useless manager. Yep. My troops will follow me through hell and back, but they will starve on the way if I don't put people in place to make sure that payroll happens, that all of those other things. So you really need to understand yourself, and the journey we take you on is what are you good at in terms of your business? Are you a sales guy? Are you an ideas person? Are you the one that's got the passionate for making cupcakes or whatever it is? The process is the same. Understand who you are, understand who you need to hire or bring in alongside you in whatever form that is, outsourcing, partnerships, whatever, and build the business so that it's a business, not just you being self-employed.
Yeah. And I think what you help entrepreneurs do is not only have the course, but you've got the counsel of years of experience of doing it, so that, I mean, I've taken courses, right? And I've been in coaching programs, and sometimes they're still lonely because you don't have access and you don't have a clear
And so we
pathway.
do, yeah, we do a monthly group coach. So
Yeah.
you're not just on your own, or on your own with me, or on your own with one of the guys who's helping me with this. You're with a group of, between 5 and 12, depends on the exact logistics of what's going on, of people we've selected, we think you might get on with. And if you don't, we'll move you. It's not a big issue. Who are on the same journey. They might be a little bit ahead of you, a little bit behind you. They may be in a similar industry to you. They may be in a completely different industry to you, but they all have wisdom, and they all have support and to give you, and you have support to give them. And everybody will have a moment where they get on the group call, once a month and go, I can't do this anymore. I think I'm going to go and stack shelves at Walmart. And everybody will get, metaphorically put their arms around you and go, no, 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 it's okay. You can do this. It is all right. Or actually, sometimes it is okay to give up. It's okay to say, this idea just isn't working. Walk away. But that's the loneliness of the entrepreneurial journey. You're the boss of the company. You can't go to your employees and say, guys, I don't know how to do payroll this month.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to do payroll this month. And so it's really, really useful to have a group around you. And this is why I also run mastermind courses. And up here in Yorkshire, I did one for myself a few weekends ago. I paid for a group of people to come to my retreat center, and everybody was blessed. Everybody's business got wisdom and benefit. But oh my God, did I get wisdom and benefit from those people sitting there going, really, Stuart, have you really thought that through? Is that really the way you want to do it?
Yeah.
And suddenly you realize, I had this blind spot. Remember Donald Rumsfeld, the things that keep me awake at night are the unknown unknowns.
Yes.
You have to be humble. You have to know that there is stuff you do not know.
That's right.
And you have to be willing to let people go, I think you've missed something. Yeah. They might be wrong, but they might be right.
Dude, I take counsel on, and yesterday was I got taken, as we say, taken to the woodshed yesterday by my 28-year-old son, because I've got an idea, Stuart, that is amazing for our business. It's incredible. Well, that's my gift, right? I'm the idea guy. And Caleb's like, well, have you thought about this, that, and that? And I'm like, what? No, but we don't need that right now. And he's like, Daddy. And he pulls me back to center, and I spent some more time thinking. I'm like, he was right. And so we've modified it, but I need that in my life. And so I let him speak into my life, but I'm in mastermind groups and coaching programs because we all need a set of outside eyes. But even more important than that, we need somebody who's been where we want to go. And Stuart's been where you want to go. And he's laid a pathway and will give you a journey to not just guide you, not said, here's the journey, but to help you along that pathway to build this life and this business that is the one you've dreamed of. It might actually look different than what you're doing today. And that's okay, because the ultimate objective is for you to fly that airplane across the ocean, right? Or whatever your airplane is. How do you get there? And Stuart's built the runway for you to be able to build your airplane and take off. Is that fair, Stuart?
I think that's a cool way of putting it.
How do people take that next step? Because you and I mean, dude, we could talk for hours on this and just dive in, but I think the best thing to do is let people know, how do they get a hold of you? Where's the next step for them on their journey to connect with you, to learn more, and to say, maybe maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need some help. Where would they go to find you?
So the easiest place is oneinaMillion.life is the website. Just pop your name and your email address in there, and also your listeners will have a discount code which we'll put in the show notes, so you can engage with us for less, because hey, this is all about helping one another. And everything is there. The book will be out in August, I hope. We're writing that at the moment. The course will be ready sometime June, but we'll be releasing parts of it as we go. We're in the final stages of putting the whole thing together right now, but it's just a huge journey. Engage with us on the website. There'll be a Facebook group. There'll be a private community that we'll bring people into, and let's co-create this together and just celebrate one another, because the creativity of human beings, the things we can achieve as we work together on stuff, just never fail to fill me with joy and inspiration.
Absolutely. All right, Stuart, we will make sure we capture that in the show notes as well, but it's a really good URL, oneinamillion.life. And we'll grab that in the show notes and things. But thank you for what you're doing to give back from your experience to help entrepreneurs really build a life that they desire and a business that makes an impact on those around them and in the world at large. So, Stuart, thank you for being my guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.